Students, please mute your audio, disable your video. Jessie, who is that Jessie? Jaya Vigneshwari, Nandini, Aishwarya, please disable your video. G. Nandini, I speaks Jessie, Jaya Vigneshwari, Aishwarya, please disable your video. Aishwarya, don't talk. Please mute your audio also.
Ma'am, Uttamal ma'am.
Yes.
It seems there's a technical problem with the resource person. She has left it and she's rejoining, ma'am.
Okay. Let us wait for 2 more minutes then.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Students, please mute your audio and disable your video. Please kindly cooperate, students.
Pavitra, please, audio, your video is visible. Thank you, Pavitra. Who is this? Jessie? Jessie? Please, video. Disable your video, ma. Your audio is muted. I can't hear what you speak, but your video is visible. Who, Meghala? Mute, disable your video, Who, Meghala. Turn off your video.
Hello, ma'am.
Now it's audible, Dr. Ramya.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Welcome, Dr. Ramya.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, we shall try to begin in a minute or two.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, shall we start?
Yes, she has joined.
Okay, ma'am. Can you tell me, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Please proceed, ma'am.
Yes. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to one and all present here. With a good wishes from our respected management, beloved principal, Dr. T. Palnishwari ma'am, and our dear head of the department, Dr. K. Muttamal Selvi ma'am. We are blessed to organize this first webinar for students of PG and Research Department of English on the topic Psychospirituality through literature, literary, psychological and spiritual analysis of life lessons. A day without prayer is a day without blessing, says Edwin Harvey. Let's begin this webinar with a silent prayer. Thank you. Small cheer and great welcome makes a merry feast, says Shakespeare. With this, I request Dr. K. Muttamal Selvi, Head and Associate Professor, PG and Research Department of English, to welcome the gathering. Ma'am, please. Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, unmute your audio, ma'am.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Love it. Warm greetings to everybody present here. I have great pleasure in welcoming everyone to this virtual event. I heartily welcome the resource person of the day, Dr. Ramya, Assistant Professor of English, EMG Yadava College for Women, Madurai, who is speaking on a very relevant topic, psychospirituality through literature, literary, psychological and spiritual analysis of life lessons. Thank you, Dr. Ramya, for your presence and your preparedness to address our students.
Thank you.
I'm extremely happy to welcome our Madam Principal, Dr. Palnishwari, who is a source of inspiration and constant support. I'm happy to welcome dear student participants who have pleasure in keeping them engaged continuously in their learning process even during this forced vacation. At this juncture, I should appreciate their participation in various competitions, their involvement in other activities, overcoming all hurdles, and widely using technology, which is a means to grow academically. I welcome you all students. I take pride in also welcoming the department colleagues and staff members of our college who are at the helm of all our endeavors and who have made such a wonderful webinar successful. Once again, I welcome each and every participant. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. To be inspired is great, but to be an inspiration is an honor. With this, I call upon Dr. B. Shupriya, Assistant Professor of English, to introduce the chief guest to the gathering.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. Gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom. Sharing it is the first step to humanity. I repeat, gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom, and sharing it is the first step to humanity. Yeah, here with us, an eminent resource person, Dr.C.Ramya, Assistant Professor of English, EMG Yadava Women's College, Madurai, to share with us her expertise on psychospirituality through literature, literary, psychological, and spiritual analysis of life lessons. I'm happy to introduce this young and energetic academician to the gathering. Having completed her BA English Literature in the Lady Law College, Madurai, MA English in Madurai Kamaraj University, Madurai, MBA in PSG Institute of Management in collaboration with the University of Toledo, Ohio, USA, MPhil English in the American College, Madurai, and PhD in Madurai Kamaraj University, Madurai, Dr. C. Ramya has worked previously at Yadava College, Madurai, and Tyagarajar College, Madurai. At present, she works as Assistant Professor of English at EMG Yadava Women's College, Madurai. Our resource person has a number of publications to her credit. She has published 81 articles in national and international journals. She has authored and co-authored 4 books. She has presented research papers in various national seminars. She has participated in various national and international workshops, conferences, and seminars. Her area of interests include psychoanalysis, Buddhist studies, comparative literature, diasporic literature, management studies, and business communication. She is a research supervisor guiding MPhil and PhD scholars. She had been a resource person and had delivered guest lectures at various colleges. Today, she is here to enlighten us on the topic psychospirituality through literature, literary, psychological, and spiritual analysis of life lessons. Welcome you, ma'am. Welcome to SFR College for Women, Sivakasi.
So thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes,
you are
ma'am,
audible.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Almighty for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to be with all of you. The moment Tamil Selvi ma'am asked about this, I felt really privileged and really honored. At the outset, I first wanted to thank the principal, the president, the management members, and the coordinators of this event, and organizing secretaries, all of you, with the heartfelt thanks even at this outset of pandemic that we are experiencing right now. We have so much of difficulties learning and teaching, but still we are able to do our duty by inspiring people. And that moment when Tamil Selvi ma'am told that we need to talk about something really useful for the student community at this present juncture, so I decided this topic, that is psycho through literature, this literary, psychological, spiritual analysis of life lessons. So when you talk about this topic, all of you would have listened to psychology. You would have heard about spirituality. All of us are graduating in literature, but all these topics together, we would never have heard of it. So this is a very vast topic. It's very enormous topic, magnificent topic. So it has its colossal effects. So it's not that easy to comprehend psychology and spirituality together, and applying it in literature, it's not that easy. The reason why I chose this topic is that when ma'am, Tamil Selvi ma'am, loving head of the department of your college, thank you so much ma'am for giving me this opportunity. And when she asked we should do something useful for the students, I felt that my own students, they have this problem right after the completion of the undergraduation of English literature. They do not know where they are going to end up. They usually, even in the normal days, now it is a pandemic all over the world, and they are all the students are totally locked up, and they do not have any novel idea of what they're going to do with their graduation. So I thought, like, when this education that we have studied all these years, 3 years of undergraduation, few students who are joining here, they would have completed their post-graduation. So I think we have had their research scholars also with us. So all of them, when they are studying literature, so what are they getting out of it? Now in this present scenario, what we feel is that even after the completion of English literature, so we don't have anybody speaking so fluently in English. We have so much of difficulty in conversing what we wanted to converse in English. We have that kind of stress when we talk in English than we talk in our mother tongue. So the exact way of how to communicate in English, we are not able to do it, in spite of the fact that we are the students of teachers of English literature. So apart from this, apart from English literature giving us so much of troubles in analyzing what we are going to do in our lives, there is another kind of trouble. What is that? When students are getting graduated, they have their enormous potential. They have their resumes piled up. They have so much of co-curricular and extracurricular activities done. But still, when they enter into the real world of life, when they get married, or when they start the family, or when they get into any kind of a work or employment, they're not able to find peace and harmony within themselves. So this idea of what we are going to do after literature, I wanted to bring as just a few anecdotes, a few theories, 1 or 2 theories, not more than that. I'm not going to confuse you. Am I audible, ma'am? Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
Okay. So, messing up psychology, spirituality, literature, I'm just going to tell you what literature is going to do in our lives. So by studying literature, how we are going to face life. Because right after studying completion of your literature program, your master's in literature or research program in literature, what we do is we just end up fixing in one particular job. Instead of just getting a job and landing up in an employment, this does more to our lives. Literature does more to our lives by including psychology and spirituality. So psychology is just a modern field of study that has emerged in the late the 20th century. But spirituality is there right from when humanity is born, right from when human beings are born. So connecting both through literature is very, very difficult. So instead of making a colossal kind of presentation. I wanted to reach to the target audience who are just undergraduate students or postgraduate students. So very meager age, at tender age, you must be just 18 years to 25 years, I guess, the audience right now who are listening to me. So I thought I can make this more comprehensible by giving you a very simple story, starting with a very simple story. So all of you want to listen to this story very carefully. It's very simple. This is where you're going to understand both psychology and spirituality. So let me just start off with a story. So we have this ancient technique of capturing monkeys. So you may wonder, what is this? She's talking about so big topic, enormous topic like psychospirituality, and she's starting to tell a story from monkeys. This is how I always introduce the vast concepts, psychospirituality, to the little minds. So let us just get into the story. So all of us know how to trap a monkey. There are so many different ways. So that was an ancient way of trapping a monkey. So this is the story that I usually share to my students. And there are so many other stories, but this is more effective. So when you want to trap a monkey, what they do is, the ancient people, they take a coconut and they just put a small hole inside the coconut and they empty it, all the content inside the coconut, and the hole would be made in a way that it's very small and only the fist of the monkey can get into it, but the entire hand cannot get into the hole. So when the monkey gets its hand into the hole, it gets locked up inside and it cannot remove its hand outside. The hole will be such small. So what the hunters do is that they put so many fruits inside the coconuts to attract the monkeys, to lure the monkeys, to entice the monkeys. So what they do is, the greedy monkeys, they go and put their hand into the coconut hole and they try to pull the fruit outside. When they're trying to pull the fruit outside, they do not have that capacity to get out of that small hole because their fist is so large. And this is the time that the monkey's hand get caught inside the coconut. And they keep fighting to get the fruit out, but it ceases, it fails. So at that time, the monkey catcher comes, the hunter comes, and he just catches the monkey. So the monkey do not have that mindfulness, do not have that very fact that what is making that monkey catching hold of itself. So it would have let loose of this fruit. It would have let that fruit go away, but it didn't happen at all. Instead, it was so greedy. The more the monkey pulls the fruits, the more attached it becomes to that fruit. And the hunter comes and he catches the monkey. So what is the moral of the story? So what is holding you back? That is your coconut. So it might be money, it might be any person, it might be your job, it might be your idea of happiness, it might be your relationships, anything, something that is holding you tight without getting out of that hole, without getting yourself liberated from that place. So we should have that mindfulness of the present moment. We should have that feel how to let go of the things, how to let go of that idea, how to let go of that one thing that is holding you from getting yourself happy. So that is very much called as mindfulness. So this one concept That is, mindfulness is a concept that we have to apply in our everyday life. So mindfulness is nothing but paying close attention to your own thoughts, paying close attention to what you're choosing to feel yourself. For example, if you are, right now I'm talking to all of you, this is my first webinar, so I usually talk to my students, looking at their faces, looking at their reactions, but inside my mind right now, when I'm analyzing my thoughts, I have so much of little bit of tension, not so much of tension, little bit of stress inside my mind, because there was a little bit of technical problem. There was no faces in scene. I'm just looking at this screen, and I find a little bit of lack of flow of words. So I have to take away that negative thought. I should just take away that thought of getting caught inside my own thought. So that mindfulness is not practiced so easily. You need to practice it every day. For example, I wish to quote one of Dalai Lama's experiences. Dalai Lama, you must be knowing, he is a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. So he is addressed as His Holiness, and he is a spiritual guru for so many people. So when we are just talking about mindfulness, Dalai Lama quotes his own experiences. So he talks about the day-to-day daily activities when he was a monk. So when he was a monk in Himalayas, it was a freezing cold, chilling cold, icing cold, and they were not able to get out of that place where they are dwelling in. At that time, he was given a responsibility to wash the vessels in that freezing ice cold. And what he did is, he went to that icing water, he looked at that. What he does is, he started embracing that moment by looking at the vessels and cleaning up that vessels, pouring out the water, and looking at the beautiful lather coming out, looking at that enchanting kind of soap bubbles coming out. And he started enjoying that soap bubbles. And he was so mindful about that activity that he is doing, and he was not thinking about anything else. He was not thinking about why I have to come and wash the dishes like this. He was not thinking about what he has to do next after doing this. He was just only concentrating on what he is doing right now, that is doing his dishes, so that he was able to embrace that moment. He was able to love what he was doing. So that a magnetic moment, being in yourself in the present moment, that stays with all of you throughout your life when you're practicing it every day. So let us get into the first slide. Before explaining about spirituality and mindfulness, I want to let you know a few of the psychological concepts. Only one psychological concept that is very important to know what spirituality is all about. So next slide, please. So Maslow is a psychologist who propelled this theory of needs. So all of us, we are talking about life, we are talking about spirituality. So when you question about what is life to many people, everyone has a different answer. So what is life for a kid is different from what is life for a student. What is life for an old age people will be totally different from what is life for a teenage person. So everybody has a different scope. Everybody has a different ideology. Everybody has a different impression, assumption about what life is all about. But here, Maslow, he just gives one definition to life. The entire life, all throughout your life, any person, if he is a human being, any person, he is going to have a need at every point of time. So every point of time, every stage of his life, that person, he or she will have a need, and life is all about satisfying the needs. So it is only the matter of who is doing it, whether you're doing it for yourself or somebody is helping you to do it. But the entire life is need satisfaction. So for example, the basic needs that a human being would undergo is 4 needs, that is physical needs, love needs, social needs, and self needs. These are the 4 major things needs a person would be requiring. The requisite amount, the requisite desire or want or demand that any person would look for is these categorized needs. There is physical need. The first comes the physical need, and then comes the love needs, and then comes the social needs, and then comes the self needs. And these basic needs has been categorized into various other 8 types of needs that I have listed here. So what is physical needs? So for any human being, for any human being, where the very survival is very important. For the survival, you need water, food, air, shelter, clothing, security, safety. So all these are very vital and important, crucial actually, and it is the most significant thing of any person's wants and desires. So once these needs are satisfied, the person automatically looks for love needs. So love needs, when the moment you say love needs, so we think about a relationship between a boy and a girl, man and a woman, the relationship that an opposite sex has with one another. It's not like that. Love needs is the belonging needs, the sense of belonging that you have with your loved ones, your family, your friends, or any of your hobbies. All these comes into love needs. So even now, even after getting enormous basic physical needs, but let me put it in a very simple way. You could see in movies, you could see in novels, you would have read so many novels where you could see a very poor, economically limited person. That person will never be falling in love, but a person who is a girl who would be lavishly spending, who has got all kind of amenities from their parents, who has got a very luxurious lifestyle, that person would be falling in love with the person who is not having any kind of basic survival needs. And the person who is having that deficit, inadequate basic needs unmet, that person will not be giving any kind of consent to that person who has got all the needs met, because it is very normal. So you just have to understand, only when your basic needs are met, you will be able to look for your love needs, that the belongingness needs. So it might be even your hobby. It might be the love that you share with your family members. It might be the love that you share with your friends. So you would have seen any of your friends who's very silent inside the class, but still have got into relationship issues. It's only because of that. If a person is very much into their hobbies, into something that is making them so loving about themselves. For example, if a person is loving to dance, if a person is so interested in singing, if a person is more interested in computing, that person will not look for the love towards the opposite sex. Or a person who has so much of belongingness with their family, the person who has so much of belongingness towards their parents, they wouldn't fall prey to that love needs, which now the movies and the novels and the social media just projecting it to the younger generation. So love needs are just the feelings of belongingness, and it is the one that motivates interpersonal relationships. So interpersonal relationships, that doesn't mean that you the love needs has to be met between the opposite sex, but also with the people you are working with, people who are whom you are getting educated with. So it might be the relationship between a teacher and a student. It might be a relationship between two friends. So only when all these needs are met, a person would be looking for another need, that is esteem needs and cognitive needs, which comes into social needs. So what is social needs? Once your love needs are satisfied, the other need your mind craves for, the human psyche craves for, is just the respect from the elders, respect from the society, respect from the peer group that you are living with, and the way you are respecting yourself. All these become a craving for the people who has met with their love needs. So that is the reason why people who fall in love, that so-called love, that made for each other type, so that movie buff type, so when they are totally involved in that particular need, they wouldn't be concentrating more on the activities that they have to improve themselves. They won't be involving in the hobbies that they have to look for. They won't be involving in the family. They won't be involving anything else except catering to the needs of that opposite sex. And in that course of time, they would be losing all the cognitive ability. What do you mean by cognitive ability? Acquiring knowledge, improving yourself. So this esteem needs, it is classified into two categories. So how to respect your own self and how you desire reputation from others. So for example, status, prestige, dignity, respect, all these are the needs. Once your love needs are gratified, then your mind will be looking for. So once you have attained that social need, the next level of your need fulfillment requires self needs. So what is the self needs? So this is the realization of a person's potential. So it is just this, how you are seeking for personal growth, how you are desiring to accomplish whatever you are capable of accomplishing, how one is craving for making his or her potential come out to the spotlight. So what are you capable of? What are you good at it? So what are you really born in this world? What is the purpose of your life here? So all these questions arises when your social needs are met. So when you see that diagram, you could see that red mark in that belonging and love needs. That is where 80% of the people get stuck. So they give so much of importance during that puberty till their youth, and they're not able to attain that esteem needs, the cognitive needs, and then the needs of the self. And that is the reason why we have so much of concentration in the deficiency needs than of the growth needs. So I would like to explain what cognitive needs are. So it is not just education that we are talking about. It is knowledge and understanding and curiosity and exploration and the need for predictability that we are looking for in that cognitive needs. So the way you are exploring yourself, it might be any field. You might be an excellent cook. So that need starts when You are having a loving life at your home, and you're putting all your energy in doing the best whatever you can do. It might be gardening, it might be your learning. If you are a student, that cognitive needs craves inside beneath your mind by learning more. So only when all these are satisfied, we get to that point of self-actualization where we use our true potential, manifest all our potential to achieve what we desire to achieve and achieve what we are capable of achieving. Then comes the final one called transcendence need. So in this need, people wanted to do less for themselves. They're very satisfied with their life and they wanted to make other lives better. So in the course of that time, or of that action, they create a kind of humanistic perspective inside their mind, and they keep serving people to make other people's lives better. So it involves aesthetic experiences, seeing beauty in everything, seeing love in everything. So having so much of passion and zealous spirit, frenzy, heartfelt feelings for helping others. So all these together have given us a very clear picture of what human life is all about. So you can analyze your own mind in which need you are standing. So in case all of you are looking for a very successful life, that is self-actualization life, that need, if you are looking for it, that is the need that most of the human beings will be looking for. You need to pass through all these stages. So if Bill Gates has adopted the whole country, one whole country he has adopted, and he is not giving anything away to their children. Bill Gates' children, they are not inheriting anything from their father, because he has given everything to the charity. So all this is because he has met all the needs. He has put all his energy in learning what he is good at. He has put all his energy in making the most of his life, in what he is interested in. And he has won the entire world, becoming a millionaire. So he's the top-notch millionaire in the world, and his self-actualization needs are met. And that is the reason why he is able to transcend from a person of being a materialistic person to a spiritual person. So these needs, physical needs, safety needs, love needs, esteem needs, cognitive needs, all these talks about psychology. And the top three needs, that is aesthetic needs, self-actualization needs, transcendence needs, all these talks about spirituality. So if you want to become a spiritual person, it doesn't mean that you just have to wear a white robe or an orange robe, get back to the mountains and sit there and meditate, leave off all the belongings that you have. It's not that. You can right away sit in your place. You can be a housewife. You can be a lecturer. You can be a computer engineer. You can be an IT professional. You can be anything, but still be a spiritual person by carefully stepping into all these needs, gratifying all these needs, by analyzing what you need actually from deep within. So that needs a deeper understanding of your own self. So, so when you talk about spirituality, it is deeply concerned with human spirit and soul that is totally opposed to material things. And spirituality talks about search of meaning of life. And it is just a sense of aliveness. It is just a sense of interconnectedness within oneself. So psychology is about study of human minds. Spirituality is the study of one's own mind. So, psychospirituality is the application of spirituality into psychology for having a harmonious, better life for oneself and for others. So, how to be spiritual? We are talking about so many weird concepts like mindfulness, spirituality. So, in order to be mindful, one has to be silent. So, silence, I mean not just the absence of speech, but absence of thoughts inside your mind. Because we all of us have this radio station running in our mind. So all of us would have heard about Radio Mirchi, Hello FM, but there is one constant radio station, universal radio station, that is running in all the human beings' mind. That is radio station NST, non-stop thinking. That's what we do. So even now, when I'm speaking, I'm just analyzing my mind, what's going on in my mind. Just in this moment, I was able to talk to you with a perfect pitch because there are so many things cropping up into my mind. And all of us have the same problem. So what is that problem? Even when you are a student, you're sitting inside a classroom, there are so many things running in your mind. So we are not able to literally be present in that moment. Being present in the moment doesn't mean that you should not do anything in the place where you are. It doesn't mean that. So when you are doing something in the place where you are being present, you have to be truly there. You have to be wholly alive there. That is called as silence. How can you be wholly alive there? Let us take, for example, I would like to quote from one of the experiences of the protagonist of Anita Desai. So all of you would be familiar with this writer, Anita Desai. All her protagonists are disturbed neurotics. All her protagonists are intelligent protagonists. Most of her protagonists are women protagonists. So all these heroines, they have this problem of fighting with themselves and fighting with their family members and fighting with the societal norms and rituals, setting against the norms and rituals and having an existential feeling and of not having a harmonious life because they've never been in the present moment. In Cry the Peacock, Maya, what she does is she has a conversation with her husband. She has a conversation with her kids. She has a conversation with the maids in the kitchen, but she never deeply involved in the conversation. But rather, she keeps thinking about how beautiful her past was, how fascinating her past was, how exuberantly, abundantly happy she was during the past, how affluent she was, how opulently harmonious her past was. And she was not liking the way the maids are always cooking in the kitchen. All the time, the entire population inside the home will be talking of something that they have to eat, or they will be talking about what they have already eaten. They will be passing feedback and comments about what they have already eaten. So all these disturbs her. So she is not able to see what actually right before her. She is not able to accept. She is not able to feel the very presence of other people inside her little world. And that is the feeling, that kind of nostalgic feeling recurring in her mind, the past repressed feelings, the past harmonious feeling which is absent in the present. She thinks that it is absent in the present because her mind was not open to the beauty of the present moment. She was not able to analyze, interpret, introspect herself feel the beauty of something around her. Instead, she is just agonizing about her future. And that is the reason why she has become a neurotic. So if you get deeply into the need theory of Maya's life, Maya's mind, she was stuck up in that belonging needs. She was wanting that belongingness from her husband, but she is not getting it. She wanted that belongingness from her pet Toto, but she's not getting it because her pet Toto was dead. So she wanted that immediate gratification, which is not done. And she was not able to attain that social self-esteem need. She doesn't have that capability to get that social needs met for herself, gratified for herself. And she never came out as a socially successful woman. And she never came out as a self-actualized person. And she never came out as a transcendent being, only because of the fact that she got stuck up in that love needs and belonging needs. So next slide, please. So another psychological concept that I have to talk to you is id, ego, and superego. So id is all these three components are the components of the human mind, consciousness of the human mind, and unconsciousness of the human mind. So everybody possesses all these components. So one being id, that is a pleasure principle. Pleasure principle means id in your mind needs immediate gratification. For example, a baby born, mostly babies have all their life, all their moments id working, and their ego and superego will be developing later on. So mostly the newborn babies and the infants, they have most of id working in them. So id is just immediate gratification. So if you want something now, right now, you need it right now. So that feeling is called as pleasure principle. So hunger, thirst, all these are pleasure principle. So a baby, how it cries for food, it immediately wants food when it feels hungry. So it doesn't understand whether the mother is working or is anybody around. Nothing he or she would think about. But immediately it feels hunger, it cries out. And because the id there works. And id is predominantly present only in babies. But in present scenario, in recent generation, we have got all kind of age groups, or even if they're educated, even if they are illiterates, even if they are of higher social status, whoever it might be, it keeps playing a dominant role. It keeps playing a paramount role. And ego is a component that controls it. So it is a component that mediates between the real life and the unreal gratification of the id. So it always has that feeling of sticking to the societal norms, listening to the rituals of the society, following the norms of the society. By following all that social stratifications, ego looks for the gratification of the senses without hurting id and without hurting others. So always ego is given a negative connotation before the public, but actually ego is a positive trait that any person can possess. So if there is ego working in your mind, it means that ego is controlling the pleasure principles of your mind. Ego is having a dominant control over the pleasure principles of your mind. So Sigmund Freud is the father of psychology, psychoanalysis. So he just relates id to horse and ego to the rider. So imagine if you have a horse and you are riding the horse, how unmanageable it would be if the horse keeps riding by itself without your control. So you end up getting hurt. The wounds might be very fatal. Instead, if the rider is taking control of the horse, it is going to be a pleasant journey, a productive journey and useful journey, right? The same way, ego controls it. It tells it, look, this is not you have to do. This is what expected of you from the teachers. This is what expected of you from the family. This is what expected of you from your society. You have to listen to all of this. Ego tells it all this. And superego is something moralistic. It is a moralistic principle. So it is imbibed in the minds of the people through family values, through education, through the way a person is brought up. So the virtues, values, morals, all these together make superego work in a person's mind. So if you want to become a super egoistic person, I would like to give a very simple example. For example, let us consider there is a person, a teenage girl who is falling in, who is a daughter of a very poor family, and she is getting educated. She is the first generation person to get educated. And if she is falling in love, immediately looking after the guy, she gets into a college and she get into a co-education college. The first time getting connected to the opposite sex, if she immediately falls in love or she elopes, and there we could see that it dominates her mind. Instead, if she thinks that it is not the right thing to do at this age, because you come from a very poor family or rich family, whoever it is. So this is not the right time to get married. This is not the right time to fall for somebody. So if you keep analyzing all this in your mind and you wait for the right time to make your love needs satisfied with the opposite sex, then the ego in that person's mind works dominantly. And if the same person thinks that my mother took all her pains to give me a good education, my father gave me all freedom to have this good education, so it is my responsibility to be a disciplined girl, a very productive girl. I want to become a very successful person with a proper acceptable status in the society. I want to make my parents proud. I want to make my parents privileged. If this is what the idea is running in her mind, I'm not going to fall for anybody. I'm just going to rise in love, and I'm not going to fall in love. I'm going to raise in loving myself. I'm going to raise in loving my family. I'm going to raise in loving my education. I'm going to raise by loving my own self, loving my own powers, loving my own talents, and nurturing it. If the girl thinks like that, her superego works. So these three components, id, ego, superego, dominantly works for everybody in various different occasions. So what makes you a super egoistic person? What makes you an egoistic person? What makes you a person with dominant id? It's all up to your own personal self, how you nurture each one of it. Because in Buddhism, they say your mind has two components, two stories. Stories means two layers. So the one layer being store consciousness, and the other layer being mind consciousness. So store consciousness is like the basement of the building. It has to be very strong. It is like a fertile soil. It has to have all kind of seeds into it. Or the store consciousness possesses so many different kinds of seeds of anger, hate, love, compassion, friendliness, peace, calm, serenity, elegance, so many things, gratitude, affection, so many seeds of emotions, so many positive emotions, so many positive presumptions, positive beliefs, and the same way negative feelings, negative ideas, negative assumptions, everything will be stored in the store consciousness. And it is the responsibility of the mind consciousness to water the selected seeds. So that is what you call as spirituality. So psychology says that id, ego, superego dominates your behavior, dominates your thought process, and what dominates you makes the person who you are. So if pleasure principle dominates you, you become a rogue, you become an indisciplined person. You become a murderer, you become a you become a person who can succumb to suicidal ideas. But if ego works, you are a person who is acceptable by the society, who is not harming the society, who is not getting harmed by the society. But if you are a super egoistic person, then that is where you become a transcendent person. You become a self-actualized person. You become an aesthetic person. So that is what I talk about mindfulness. So being mindful about your own thoughts, because every single thought is like an embryo. One fine day, this embryo will become a fetus. It will be born. It will become an infant. It will become an young man. It will become an adult. And it will take life of its own, and it will either kill you or it will soothe you and nourish you. It is only you that who can decide what seeds you are watering. So what kind of embryo you are having within yourself to create a life that is going to very soon, shortly come before you and take control over you. So we have these three people inside us. So one is God, one is the beast. So the one you feed is going to win. So if you feed the God inside yourself, then you become a spiritual person. If you feed the beast inside you, then you become a psychotic. So this analyzation of one's own mind paves way to understand other people's lives better. Only the people who are able to understand their own selves, only the people who have the ability to silence their thoughts and look keen into what they are choosing to feel, look keen into what they are choosing to tell, act, that decides what kind of a person they are. Next slide, please. So I'm going to finish it off with the final thing that I'm going to tell you. So I don't know how far I have reached you. Something that any person can relate to. That is one Buddhist concept, one Buddhist phenomenon that I'm going to talk to you. This you can relate to you, to yourself, to your life at any point of time. You might be at the age of 60, you might be 15 years old, you might be handling a child who is just 2 years old, you might be a CEO of a company, or you might be a homemaker. Whoever you are, you can apply this four noble truths. The science of Siddhartha Gautama Buddha that he was preaching hundreds of years before. So the Four Noble Truths, Chinese call them as holy truths. So the first noble truth is that suffering is universal. So everybody suffers. Every single person on this earth suffers. So we think that if we have more money, we would be happy. We think that we get a job, a government job, we would be happy. We think that we get an attractive partner, we would be happy. We think that we possess so monumental buildings, we would be happy. So however you are, whichever position you are, whichever age you belong to, there is always one thing called a suffering, not only for human beings, for every beings in this world, there is suffering. So this is the first noble truth that one has to understand. That is, suffering is universal. So you have to feel, if you are suffering, you should feel something that is happening for the entire world, entire universe is happening for you. So that nothing new happening to you. A person cannot tell why me, why is it happening all only to me. And it is not like that. You should not take it like that. So dukkha means suffering is universal. This is the first noble truth. And the second noble truth is samudaya, which means if there is suffering, there is an origin for suffering. Where it came from, where it is born from, where are the roots of that suffering. So it is there. The origin is always there. And the third one is, if there is an origin, you can take away the roots of that suffering from the origin. That is called a cessation of suffering. By refraining yourself, by stopping yourself, by doing the things that makes you suffer. For example, so let me finish off the fourth one. Fourth one is the fourth noble truth is marga. That is the path that leads to liberty. There is a path that leads to liberty, and that path is a noble eightfold path. That is right view, right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right diligence, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So let us take one instant from literature. So we have got, again, a person from Anita Desai's heroines. That person is Sita from Where Shall We Go This Summer. So I already told you, all Anita Desai's protagonists have neurotic problems and they suffer a lot. They are existentialists. And in this, if you're just explaining about the Four Noble Truths with literature point of view, before getting into literature point of view, I would like to give a general introduction, something that you can relate to your own life. Somebody would be married, somebody would be pregnant, and but still you'll be coming to college, and you will be pursuing your higher studies, and somebody would have your children with you, and you would be doing your research, you would be doing your education. You have so much of suffering, managing everything. So the first thing you have to analyze, identify is embrace your suffering. Analyze and identify your suffering. Just like a physician asks you, so is this where it hurts? Is this where it hurts? Is it hurt here? Is it hurting here? Or is it hurting there? It's the same way you have to ask yourself, what is making you suffer? Is it hurting here? When I do this, is it hurting here? When she tells that, is it hurting? So you should know where it hurts, what makes you suffer. And samudaya, you have to find out the roots of your own actions that caused this suffering. And once you have understood. For example, you wanted to do your household chores, but still you have to study for your examinations. And you do not want to do your household chores because you're feeling very tired. And you create a problem inside your house. You fight with your mother-in-law, you fight with your mother, you fight with everybody. Or you wanted to have a very sensual phone call with your loved one, and your mother is asking you to cook for you or do something else, some kind of a household role. You suffer, right? And what do? You have to analyze what makes your suffering. It's only because of your idleness your mother is scolding you. It's only because of your laziness your mother-in-law is scolding you. So it's only because the absence of the action that is going to give happiness for somebody else and for your own self that somebody is scolding you. So what is that absence of action, or what is that presence of action that causes you to suffer and that causes other people to suffer? You need to find out that origin. And the third step is cessation of suffering, which means this is the place where you have to refrain yourself from stop doing what makes you suffer. Your mother is keeping on telling, why are you over the phone call for these many hours? So you being in the phone call makes her suffer, and she's scolding you makes you suffer. So the origin is having so much of time with the phone call. So stop doing that. Cessation of suffering. Stop doing things that makes you to suffer. Refrain yourself from doing things that make you to suffer. How is it possible? By following Noble Eightfold Path. By right view, right thinking, right speech. So here we have this disease. What is this disease? Feminism, individualism. This is my life. This is my way of living. I have my freedom. So all these individualism concepts, like foreign concept, Western concepts like individualism, feminism, it made us fighters. It made us sufferers. And when you follow this eightfold path of right view, you have to look at the right view of making your actions happen in a way that it has to be egoistic, in a way that it has to be super egoistic. If not, you cannot be super egoistic, at least be egoistic. So by thinking right, so when your mother says, why is she disturbing my peace of mind? Why is she disturbing my independence? Instead, you have to have a right thinking. My mother is tired. My father is having his hard-earned money, spending hard-earned money to just give me this life. So I should do something to them in return. So this is the right thinking, right speech. Having a graceful, elegant, and appealing speech with your people that would not only cause harmony to other people who are listening to it, but also gives pleasingness and adorable, dainty, charming feel for your own selves. So you feel inadequate when you don't speak right. You feel so clogged up when you don't speak right. You can speak right only when you think right. You can think right only when you see good things. So we have this filling up our loneliness by feeding our mind with sensory food. What is sensory food? When we are alone, we just look at the TV, we look at the mobile phones, we look at the TV serials. We just see all this garbage, trash, muck, dreck, dunk raffling in our mind. We see everything that is unnecessary into for our minds. We feed our minds with these sensory foods, which are just deck and track, which are just trash and gash. And because of that, we are not able to think properly. And because of that, we are not able to speak right. And when we are not able to speak right, we will not be able to act right. And when our actions are not right, we will not have a right livelihood. So when we follow right diligence and right mindfulness, so I was talking about right mindfulness. So I'm so mindful. So I just wanted to finish off this program. I'm going to be, I'm just watching this serial. I'm just watching this Netflix serial, web series. I'm just watching this. I wanted to finish off this. I wanted to be mindful. That is not mindful. Having right mindfulness, that matters a lot. So right mindfulness, right diligence. Diligence means efforts. In right concentration. All these helps you to stop you from doing things that makes you to suffer. So all this eightfold noble path helps you to attain that nirodha, that cessation of suffering. And finally, you become a liberated person. So here, when you see this psychologically, I just wanted to tell, Marga, a person who follows Marga is a super egoistic person. A person who follows Samudaya is an egoistic person. And a person who is standing in that dukkha and kills his own self by not feeling happy at all with what he has, what she has, what she has been offered to, what the entire universe has offered to her or him. She's just seeing it as a suffering. And this is a place where it works. So that person becomes a suffered person because the id dominated. The person who has followed this eightfold path has become a super egoistic person and will become a self-actualized person, and finally he will become a transcendental person in a way that he would be finding purpose of his life and feel other people better about themselves. So this is psychospirituality in common. So with just 5-minute interpretation of literature, a very famous piece, Romeo and Juliet, I wanted to interpret psychospiritually. Next slide, please. So all of you would have known, because all of you who are listening to me are just students. So I wanted to bring out some common piece that is available to your memory, that is Romeo and Juliet. So all of you know what Romeo and Juliet is all about. But when you read through the entire piece of work, when you read the psychology, when you read the spirituality, and then read Romeo and Juliet, you will just see Romeo and Juliet as not a love story, but just a 3-day relationship between 2 kids that caused 6 deaths. Because Juliet was just 13 years old and Romeo was just 16 years old, not even 16. And they were in that, do you remember that pyramid? So they were in that fulfillment of the need, love and belongingness needs. They wanted that love needs to be gratified at that tender age. They never had an attachment with their family. They never had any kind of attachment with their empowerment of themselves, their skills, their potentials, their talents. Nothing was evident in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. But all that they did was they met each other, they got attracted to each other, and they fell in love with each other. And they both died killing 4 other family members of themselves. So here only id rules throughout the play. Because we could see the person, Mercutio, got killed, and Juliet's cousin got killed. And there's so many murders because of just one thing, that is id ruling their mind. They do not want to think about anything else. Juliet should have thought that Montagues are totally against Capulets. Capulets are the family name of Juliet, and Montagues are the family name of Romeo. There is a feud between the family, the Montagues and Capulets, for generations. And they never had, Romeo and Juliet never allowed their id to play a role in their lives. They never thought about why they should not get into the prey of what the gratifications, the needs, the fulfillments that it requires. Poor guys, children they are, kids they are. They never had that guidance from their elder ones, because the elder ones themselves, they were not egoistic. Instead, they just raging out. They were just being irate. They were just being like a rogues. So throughout the play, you could see the elders, the prince, the princesses, the hero, heroine, everybody have only their id working, and nobody was egoistic or super egoistic. Even the nurse who helps Juliet in eloping with Romeo, the nurse should have that super egoistic feeling that Juliet is a princess-like woman and she should not defame the family's name. She is not mature enough to take a decision. She should not have helped to elope with Romeo. Even she was not super egoistic. Even the minor characters of the play were not super egoistic. And the parents, they were sticking to their societal needs, their dignity, the prestige, their status. They were not thinking about the needs of the self of their daughter, the needs of the self of their son. And because of these unfulfilled, unmet needs, born this tragedy, Romeo and Juliet. And all these characters failed to identify what is making them suffer, what they have to do to liberate themselves from the suffering. Nobody identified anything. Nobody followed that right way of looking at things, right way of handling things, right way of being mindful, right way of having a concentration of getting a relationship. Romeo and Juliet, they could have waited a little bit and they could have plotted with right concentration, right diligence, right efforts they could have made, and they could have won the battle by liberating themselves from the tragedy, from the suffering. Instead, it just was a series of murder, series of suicides, and it is a tragedy. So hope I have not collapsed you, confused you. So this is the way a person can psychospiritually analyze literature. So this is not only focusing on how to analyze literature, but also how to identify yourself in lives and how to live a harmonious and peaceful life. So switch off that radio NST in your mind. Just take away all the thought process in your mind. Concentrate only on the fruitful seeds. Water them every day. I would like to end up my presentation by telling one simple, small concept, a spiritual concept and a psychological concept, how you have to look at yourself. Because your soul, your thoughts, your thought process, your mind is like a cup. This is not my concept. It is the spiritual Rumi's concept. So it is just like a cup. Even in one of the spiritual piece of work, Rubayat by Umar Khayyam, Umar Khayyam says that your soul, a soul, human mind is like a cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So you have to fill up your cup to pour from your cup. So kindly fill your cup with compassion, love, concentration, intelligence, admiration, beauty, aesthetic sense, and overwhelm with all these positive qualities by filling your cup, so that other people who are filling their cups from the things that are overwhelming from you, they will also be benefited. Please don't ingest any kind of negative thought into your cup, because it is not only harm yourself, but also when it overwhelms, it is going to harm somebody else also who is looking forward to fill their cup from your cup, something that is overflowing from you. So thank you so much for listening to me. So I'm just telling you to have a very happy learning experience. So learning doesn't mean that you have to study every day. You can learn from life. You can learn from your mistakes. You can learn from your own self, how you were and how you are and how you ought to be, so that you can heal the world, so that you can heal yourself. Happy healing, happy learning. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for your crystal clear and informative session, interactive session.
Thank you so much, lovable head of the department, for giving me this opportunity, because this is the first time I'm talking in a webinar. I don't know whether I made justice, whether I was reachable to the audience. So next time when all the COVID-19 is over, I would like to meet all the students in person and talk so many varied topics to how to lead a happy and harmonious life. So thank you so much, ma'am, Tamaselvi ma'am, respected ma'am, for giving me this opportunity.
It was nice of you, Ramya. It was very good. Students would have benefited. Now we shall pass on to the interactive session, Ramya.
Yes, ma'am.
Dear all, if you have any queries or doubts regarding the topic, post your questions in the chat box. Ramya ma'am,
Yes,
question. Can peace be attained by keeping calm and controlling one's emotions?
So it's a very nice question. Thank you so much. Actually, all of us want, everybody is striving for something in this world. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be peaceful. So what are we doing to get that peace of mind? What are we doing to get that happiness? That is question mark. So in Buddhism, there is one thing called getting peace is like wrestling. So how a wrestler just catches hold of his opponent, fights him, makes him inactive and wins, the same way you have to win over your negative thoughts. So not by holding your teeth tight and putting all your energy and stressing out yourself such a way that wrestler fights. It's not like that. But just like the way you're using your positive thoughts, how an opponent is beaten by a powerful man, A weak person, how a weak person is beaten by a powerful man. Your positive thoughts has to be so powerful, so overwhelming, so abundant, so alluring and captivating that it could be so strong that it could beat all the negative emotions, all the weak emotions of your own self, and you will be able to attain peace. So peace, silence, I already told you, it's not just absence of speech. You can speak, you can have a song, you can have a world of chatterbox, but still you can be silent in your mind. How? Without crowding up your mind with too many thoughts. If you are talking to a person, just be wholly there. Listen to that person, what he wanted to say, without having a prejudgment, without having an assumption what he wanted to say. So before you wanted to get into a conversation, so many thoughts cropping up in your mind, then you are not silent. So real silence happens when you still your mind from so many chaotic thoughts around. So that is where you win peace of mind. That is where you win tranquility and you become a self-possessed person. Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, one more question, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us some effective measures to be taken to heal chemical imbalance of youngsters regarding emotions.
Yes, that's a very nice question. For youngsters, I wanted to tell you a very very basic thing. I was talking to you about basic needs that a person has to have to attain self-actualized need, transcendental needs of life. So what are basic needs? Food, water, shelter, clothing, right? So among these youngsters, when I am answering this question, I remember one of my students who told me, very surprisingly, she just told me that, ma'am, do you cook? I never thought you would cook. Why, what's wrong in cooking? So I thought cooking is not for educated women. So I laughed. So this is one of the major garbage idea that young women or young men hold in their minds. So they need to know about how their body works, because this is not just a piece of muscles and tissues and bones. It is the place where your soul resides. So just I wanted to tell you, one of the spiritualists, what he said is, a person is God himself. A person who is taking care of his body is like the person who is taking care of the shrine, who is residing in a sacred temple. So we eat all kind of junk and garbage, and we make ourselves sick, and we do not know what to nourish, what makes the human body nourish. So what is so paramount, what is so significant? Nobody knows. So everything has a science. So when to eat, what to eat, how to eat, there is a Chinese proverb called, you are what you eat. So when you have ingested nutritious food in your body automatically secretes a happy hormone named oxytocin. So this happy hormone is responsible for your motor activity, your digestion, your productivity, your personal growth, your intelligence, your sharpening of your intelligence. So this happy hormone, oxytocin, is generated when you're very happy also. When you're laughing, when you're doing something, an activity with so much of love, this secretes. So when you are at home in this COVID-19, don't grumble about this lockdown. Don't have that sense of feeling that I am educated, I am an English literature graduate, I am the pampered daughter of my parent. How can I cook? How can I feed everybody? Oh, this is the basic thing that a human um, being, the basic value that a human being has to possess to climb out the ladder to a transcendentalist, to know about yourself, of what you have to eat, how you have to feed, the edible food that you have to eat, and the sensory food that you have to eat. That is what food you're giving to your mind instead of brooding over something in the internet and giving all the nonsense that the internet gives you, instead of feeding your mind with that kind of sensory food, and instead of having an uneducated knowledge of your own body and giving all kind of garbage into your body, know about your body, know about your mind, and feed with edible food and sensory food. And there comes your answer for the question.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. One more question from our students, ma'am.
Yes.
How can a person overcome guilt and attain mindfulness after falling in its pleasures such as love needs?
So this is very nice question.
Thank you, ma'am.
A very nice question that the generation now has to follow. This is one trap that the world is giving for the youngsters. The entire world is trapping the youngsters, I say. There is an entire mafia group that is Hollywood, Bollywood, Hollywood, and the entire CEOs of so big companies. Everybody is working on trapping young people's mind by telling them what love is, by telling them how to love, by telling them how to look, first of all. So a fat person who is fat, there's so many marketing products in the market, various different ways. 7 days, get slim and get the shape of Kareena Kapoor, zero size, everything they market. The CEO sits and sit in a conference like this, and they plan how to get the money out of the parents, how to marginalize these people. So please do not cater to what the market, what the outer world, what the internet is telling you to do, what you want to do. Instead, look into yourself. How will you look into yourself? You will have some kind of interest in anything. There is no person born in the world without any interest. Apart from falling for another sex, apart from looking for another partner, what is that interests you? Look deep into it. Nobody else can help you, not even your parents. Only you know what you like to do. And if you are interested in that, it might be cleaning the house even. It might be in music. It might be taking care of kids, playing with the kids. What makes you so interested? So find out that one thing and put all your energy into it. Do it with all compassion. Do it with all fierce passion, magnetic, enchanting passion. So do it with that flaming love, spirited love. Automatically, one fine day, you will attain that social status. You will be able to conquer your love needs when you truly do what you love to do, except for falling for another person, because it is a fall, it's not a rise. So this is what, if you want to fulfill your love needs, Love your family, love your friends, spend more time with your friends, good friends who have right thinking, who has right knowledge, who has right concentration, who has right diligence. You're not able to identify what is right, ask people. Ask your people who are elders, who is the right person. Spend time with those kind of people. Surround yourself with those kind of people who give you positive things, who give you right concentration and right way of looking at things. And obviously, you will be able to fulfill your love needs and get to the next stage of social needs. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for answering our questions patiently.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's my privilege.
Thank you. Saying thank you is more than good manners. It is good spirituality. I request Dr. P. Prasna Devi, Assistant Professor of English, to deliver a vote of thanks.
Dr. Ramya, madam,
Yes, ma'am.
I must thank you for the topic. Your speech is absolutely awesome, madam. Our students too enjoyed a lot. We are seeing lots of praising comments in the Google Meet chat box and YouTube comments. We have heard of psychology and spirituality separately, but this is the first time we have listened to the concept of psychospirituality. Thank you so much, madam, for your enlightening us regarding the truth of Buddhism by relating so many anecdotes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kanima, for inviting me to propose the formal vote of thanks. First of all, I thank God the Almighty for giving us a wonderful chance to gather via internet for the very interesting and informative session. I thank the management of the Standard Fireworks Rajaratnam College for Women for always encouraging us in every academic endeavor. My sincere thanks are due to our principal madam for permitting us to conduct the webinar under UGC autonomy grant. Next, I thank our HOD, Dr. Uttaman Salvi madam, convener of this webinar, for her guidance and suggesting our guest speaker. I record my heartfelt thanks to Dr.C.Ramya, Assistant Professor of English, EMG Yadava Women's College, Madurai, for consenting to be the reserve person of the day. Madam, we enjoyed your speech on the topic psychospirituality through literature, literary, psychological, and spiritual analysis of life lessons. I thank my friend Dr. Shivapriya, Assistant Professor and Coordinator of this webinar, for coordinating the event very smoothly and for accepting the suggestions made by me and Mrs. Kaniselvi. Thank my fellow organizing secretary, Mrs. Kaniselvi, Assistant Professor, for her strenuous efforts in preparing the invitation and certificate for being an enthusiastic master of ceremonies. I must especially thank her spouse, Mr. Saravanan, also our college lab technician, for having rendered his technical help. I thank Mrs. Vasanthi, Assistant Professor of Computer Science, for her service in streaming the live speech for college on our YouTube channel SFRC Connect. I also thank Dr. Shakila, Assistant Professor, for her technical support. Also, I thank my colleague friends for their brisk participation and support. Finally, I thank all our lovely students and staff from other colleges, EMG, Yadava Women's College, right, whom we are meeting for the first time. Thank you, dear students, for being very good participants. There was no at all from your side. Our students' hunger for knowledge is proved by the good number of participation. And I'd like to share that there are about 170 participants in the Google Meet and around 70 participants in our YouTube channel. Thank you all once again. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Special thanks to Dr. Ramya and the student participants. Many of the students have accepted our invitation and they have found time to participate in this. I thank my students once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ramya, it was really a very wonderful speech, Ramya. You were so confident.
Thank you so much.
Confident in the subject, and your deliberation was very clear, and the students would have really enjoyed it and loved it.
I would like to meet your students in person once the
Sure,
college
sure.
is open.
Welcome to our college.
This webinar, I'm without looking at the students' faces, without looking at anybody. I'm not able to talk anything actually. So
Naturally. This was even we faced this difficulty when we first met through for a board of studies.
this is the first webinar. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, because this gives me an insight what I have to concentrate on, ma'am. Because I just got stuck the moment I look at the laptop, looking at my own face and in empty screen. So I'm not able. So I thought that the next time I can concentrate more on how to give an effective webinar, taking off a few mishappenings that happened, that technical difficulties, everything next time we can eradicate, and we can have a
Okay.
better night.
Yes, in spite of all your handicaps, you were very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Prasanna ma'am, we stop recording, ma'am.
Yes. Shall we leave the meeting?
Yes,
Can we
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.